Welcome to the Nerd Party.
Let the filibustering begin.
Welcome to Nerd Party.
Hello everybody, this is Filibuster 17, and we have quite the treat for you today. Just in time for Halloween, we're giving you 1979 Alien. Now this is our Halloween treat for you because out of all of the Alien movies, I would say that this is the most horror-like. I mean, if Aliens is the action film, Alien is the horror film. And beyond that, we have so many great guests today. We have staples such as Matt Hansen.
Hi, everybody.
Lee Hutchison.
Hello.
But we also have some incredible guests that you might have heard elsewhere on the interwebs on Trek.fm, but this is their first time on the Nerd Party Network, and that is Darren Moser.
Greetings, programs.
And the Mike Schindler.
Hey, thanks for having me.
It's great to have everybody here. I'm just so excited because this is one of my favorite movies of all time, and this is some of my favorite people of all time. So how about let's just go ahead and get started on this because as you can tell from the title of this episode and from what I just told you, we're doing a commentary. As with all commentaries, what we do is we give you a 3, 2, 1 start, and you can watch it and listen to us at the same time. But even if you're not watching it, if you're just driving in your cars, do not worry. It'll still be entertaining, and it will be fun. So, everybody zeroed out?
Yes.
Yeah, and just so everyone knows, this is the Alien theatrical cut as well. So, I know there's so many versions out there, but we're going with the theatrical version, everyone. So, that's the one to go for.
Absolutely. Thank you very much, Lee, for contributing to that, because I completely forgot. There is so many different versions, but we're going with the classic. So, here we go. 3, 2, 1, play.
I never get bored of seeing the cartoon 20th Century Fox. I always think I'm going to watch Die Hard when it pops up.
Yeah. Although, why don't they use the full CinemaScope fanfare since this is a CinemaScope movie?
15 seconds in, and Matt, there we go.
Because no one thought this would be a hit, I'm guessing.
I mean, they had it there. They used it for Star Wars. Why not do that?
So while we've got the opening credits coming up here, what was everyone's first experience of seeing Alien? For me, I was just a young boy, and I was Star Trek daft as a kid, and I would just gobble up anything that was sci-fi, aliens, futuristic. And I remembered recording this on VHS, and I was staying at my grandparents' one night, and I took this video around to watch it at their house. And as a 6, 7-year-old boy, I was so bored. I was just I felt like kind of Milhouse when he's waiting for them to get to the firework factory. I was like, come on, when's things going to happen? There's 40 minutes of just people pottering around, having disagreements. And as a kid, that wasn't the most exciting thing. And, that was my first experience of Alien. I'm curious to hear what you guys, how you first viewed it.
Well, for me, it was I was a kid too, but it was on TV. I think it was on TCM or AMC. I can't remember, one of the two. And it was a marathon. They had a marathon from I think the first one to the third one, and I think it was on 4th of July, and so everybody was setting up for the cookout, and I was moving decorations in and out of the house, but I kept this movie was playing on the screen, and I just kept. I started walking a little bit slower each time I passed the television and then all of a sudden I just gave up and just sat down in front of the TV, and I was completely engaged, and I didn't have time to watch the second and third one. So the next day I had my parents go and get the VHSs from Blockbuster, and I just marathoned them one after the other.
I think I was around 11 or 12, and I was just getting into horror because it's a big genre for me now, but there were only certain movies that my parents were willing to let me watch at that point, and I don't know how Alien ended up on one of them, but I guess because it was an alien and not a human killer, I was allowed to watch it when I was younger. So I watched it when I was 12, and I don't remember being bored by it. Because I think I knew ahead of time that something was going to come out of somebody's stomach, so I was waiting for that moment the whole time.
Darren, how about you?
I can't remember the first time I saw it, but I remember the most recent time I saw it in theaters. It was actually with my best friend and his brother had never seen it. And so we put him in between the two of us, and let's just say we enhanced the jump scares. Because we knew exactly when it was going to happen and when the tension would build. And we would, we'd even give him some fake jump scares where it's like, oh, there's nothing really happening right now. But the music makes you think otherwise, so... But if you have a chance to see it in theaters, every once in a while it seems to come into these small theaters. It's so worth it.
It's so much fun to watch this on a big screen with a big audience.
Yeah. What about yourself, Mike? When was your first experience?
I was about 15 years old, and this is going to sound so stupid because it is. But I was working at a comic book store, and there was a new comic coming out called Superman versus Aliens. And I was a really big fan of Superman, and I'm like, oh, I want to read that comic, so I better watch these Alien movies so that I'm ready for this comic, So backwards and dumb, but whatever. Anyway, so the guy who I worked with at the comic book store was a huge fan, and he's like, okay, I'm going to bring in the first two on Laserdisc. I've got the big box sets, and we watched the first two in the comic book store while we were working. And it was pretty great. I didn't really like it the first time that I saw it, but I was compelled to watch it again, and I did shortly thereafter, and then I kind of fell in love with it.
One thing that I really enjoy about this movie is that even though the technology within it can date it, like if this was any other movie, you'd be like, oh, like, why don't they have LCD screens? Why don't they have holographic projectors and everything like that? It doesn't matter with this one because it uses this aesthetic so well. It's so tactile that you don't care that it's those old green monitors that nobody uses anymore,
Well, and it kind of fits for the story. I mean, because we're on this ship. It's not a state-of-the-art starship. It's like an old towing truck of a vessel. So the fact that it has outdated technology, I think, fits in with the Nostromo's character.
And that was the excuse they used in Prometheus, that you've got this amazing futuristic ship with all that LCD, the holograms, everything. Mm-hmm. Why does the Nostromo look so out of date? Why does it look like a 1970s computer classroom? Well, it's a towing ship. But, why would they have all the fancy new technology? These are just the grunts. And yeah, I'll buy into that.
Yeah, the look of Alien. I mean, you could just do a whole podcast on the look of it. And that emergency helmet in the very beginning with the projections coming from the screen, which, let's just say, screens don't work that way, but it's okay. But that right there is almost building tension because it's odd and it's off. But one of the things I love best about the aesthetic of Alien is like the iconography. I can't say the word. The icons,
iconography.
Basically. Exactly. From the symbols on the doors to the airlock to right there on the sleep chamber, it all makes sense, and it was all branded as if there was an actual feel to what the systems display that was actually thought out. And I think you can look up a one sheet that has everything laid out, and it all makes sense. Like, I would put that on a modern spaceship; it would work.
And I think that's what makes it such a special movie, is that kind of lived-in universe that I never don't watch this movie and don't think this isn't realistic. Like, yeah, the technology's out of date, but I always believe that it's a physical working ship, that people actually work, live, sleep, go to the toilet on this ship. It's everything about it has a purpose, and it's not just to look good, it's to actually function. And as you were saying, you could do a whole podcast on how this show works.
And, scenes like this with the performances and the way that they're played kind of add to that aesthetic as well, because it seems real. It seems almost like a Robert Altman movie or something like that, with overlapping dialogue. And these aren't like people who are in like a very carefully controlled environment who are, spouting lines of beautifully written dialogue. They're just people talking around, a breakfast table. And that really adds to the realism of it, which I think is really important for a movie which takes place in space about an alien, which is, killing people. So, yeah, I mean, that makes it all the scarier. and all
grounds
the more
it.
believable. Yeah, for sure. I mean, the costumes, the sets, everything about it is just, and the sound design as well. Everything about it just completely lends itself to that aesthetic, and it's kind of perfect.
I can't help myself but keep thinking about the video game that was released a couple years ago called Alien Isolation.
Man, that thing just scared me watching the playthrough videos on YouTube.
It's true. No, I jumped more than a few times, like where my heart started racing because I was just like, oh, good Lord. But it really, I mean, the designers just put their hearts and souls into capturing that feeling of the original movie, and just the just even how the bulkheads are curved and segmented and the lights flickering. It just felt like you were on the Nostromo, and it as I'm watching the movie, it just makes me appreciate the game even more, because you can tell so much thought was put into the game, and the game makes me appreciate the movie even more as well.
I kind of picture Mother as the inside of Steve Jobs' head. Right there. Just lots of small screens, lots of buttons, lots of blinky lights.
Lots of Christmas lights.
Lots of Christmas lights.
Actually, if it was inside of Steve Jobs' head, there would be one big button that controlled everything.
There you go.
Whenever I watch this movie, I always think of Thank You for Smoking, where they talk about you can't smoke on a spaceship. It'll make the ship blow up. And they go, well, we'll just make up some sort of technology that, thank God I can smoke on this ship thanks to the machine. Insert name here. I always think of that movie now. I think of them as a wonderful double bill. That how did a smoking become allowed on a spaceship too? The spaceship allowing the smoking. That's my unofficial double bill.
So true. I was thinking the same exact thing when they were sitting around the breakfast table.
I always think of these movies when you see this cast and like the production aspect of it. Like, I think people always consider perhaps the Alien movies American movies, that they're part of the American cinema. For me, I consider them actually British, and I think it's like a fantastic advert for the British production designers, the British crews, Pinewood Studios, the amazing British cast, and the same with Aliens as well. That I think
they were all shot in England, I think.
I'm not sure about Alien Resurrection. I could be wrong on that. But yeah, 1, 2, 3, Prometheus, they were all shot in the UK and Pinewood, the home of James Bond.
What about Alien versus Predator and...
Those don't count.
Don't know what you're talking about. Nah, no idea.
Well, speaking of Alien versus Predator, but not the movie, the video game. I mean, you were talking about Alien Isolation, but a couple generations before that, there was a really good Alien versus Predator versus Marine game where you could play each of the three races. And it was so much fun because they each had benefits. The Marines had the motion trackers, the Predators had the vision, the aliens could climb walls. And I remember playing that hours and hours and hours in college, and it was so much fun. It's just fun being in this universe.
It is.
Well, I mean, that's definitely true, and I think that goes back to the to the sets and everything, the aesthetics. You know, I mean, one of my absolute favorite rides at Disney World is the Great Movie Ride, which is super boring, except for the 30 seconds where you're going through the Nostromo, and then it becomes the most amazing thing you've ever seen in your entire life, because it's like you're actually on the set of this movie, and it's you know, this movie makes you want to go on that spaceship with that alien which is about to kill you, because you want to look around, because it is so well thought out. It's really, really great.
It's the perfect antidote to sterile movies that I think we associate, especially because we all have a common trait that we love Star Trek, but Star Trek, for 99% of it, is so sterile, clean, perfect, much like this kind of Star Wars prequels in a way, that you can walk through these things and you wouldn't even imagine a bit of dust. Whereas you could go in the Nostromo and you could almost start pulling things off the shelf, pulling things apart, scraping for dust, cleaning it. It feels so real and tactile, and that makes me totally buy into it. I'm not looking at this thinking, it's totally fake. What is this? This is something like, I believe that's real, even down to the conversations. How many times at our own work we talked about money, the bonuses, our boss has made a decision we don't agree with, and we're kind of having to shrug our shoulders. Like, everything about it is realistic, and you can just buy into it straight away, which can be difficult with sci-fi sometimes. That sterile nature makes it so hard to fully throw yourself into that world.
Well, also, if this was Star Trek, there'd be no conflict, so they wouldn't be having this argument right now.
Now, okay, so Captain Dallas, I think he's a very underrated character.
Oh, I love Tom Skerritt, by the way.
Yeah, I thoroughly love his performance. I think he did a great job. He sells the idea of what this type of captain should be. Like, speaking of anti-Star Trek, like, you couldn't have a Captain Picard or a Kirk or anything like that in here. And so that makes me, I have no idea if this is true or not. Mike, you might know this. I've heard that Harrison Ford turned down the role of Captain Dallas. Has anybody else heard that?
I've heard that, yeah.
Yeah, I hadn't heard that, but I mean, that's interesting. I mean, the interesting thing about Dallas is that, you know, now we totally think of this franchise as Ripley's franchise, but like, she doesn't really become the protagonist. She doesn't become the main character until everyone else is dead, you know?
As a matter of fact, I mean, we didn't mention this during the opening credits, but she's second billed. She's second billed after Tom Skerritt. So you think Tom Skerritt's going to be the hero.
And he is the hero pretty much until he dies. You know, it really does feel, I don't know. I mean, there's this thing which I always do, which is try to figure out who, like, if there's one main character for a movie, who is it? You know, it's just one of those things that I always think about for some weird, stupid reason. And in this movie, it's really hard because for the first half of it, it's definitely, more than the first half of it, it's definitely Dallas. And then the perspective shifts. And it shifts to Ripley basically because she's the only one left, which is really cool. And one of the reasons why this movie works as a horror film, because you don't know who's going to die. You know, no one's safe.
I always thoroughly enjoy that in a movie, like when they shift focus from one protagonist to another, or we discover who the real protagonist is. Like just this morning, my wife and I were watching another Sigourney Weaver movie. We were watching The Village. And in that movie, for the first 40, maybe 50 minutes, you think it's River Phoenix's movie. And
Joaquin.
Excuse me. Geez, wow. You think it's Joaquin Phoenix's movie, and you follow him around, and you're interested in the Ivy character, but then he gets stabbed, and you're like, oh, holy crap, this is Ivy's movie. She's the one who saves the day. And it made me think of Alien and how we had that shift later on in this movie.
I mean, this goes back all the way. I mean, this is a tradition that goes back to Psycho, though, right? I mean, because you think it's Janet Leigh's movie until about half an hour in.
Yeah.
Well, let's not forget the character of the ship, of the Nostromo. I mean, we just saw some beautiful model shots of the Nostromo's de-docking. I mean, everything makes sense. Everything takes place. And it's a beautiful ship. It's a beautiful aesthetic, both inside and out. And now we're, you know, landing, and just the model work on this movie was incredible.
You know, we've talked about this on the Nerd Party before about how we're not CGI haters, but there is something about like supreme model work that just makes everything much more tangible.
So many
and realistic.
greeblies.
I think it works for the actors as well. That I think, you know, people always say, yeah, you can have a CGI environment, and if the actors aren't very good at selling it, then that's the fault of the actor, not the director or the choice to make it CGI. And I can see the argument for that. But I think if you give an actor as much tools as an environment where they're spraying the classic science fiction steam on the bridge, or things are sparking, or buttons to press, then it's more realistic. The more props you can give an actor to play with, the more realistic it is, and you're not almost having to fight that urge to go, right, what am I actually seeing? I think no amount of fake imagery or pictures can actually sell you on that as an actor without having perhaps the stuff to play with.
Certainly, I don't think that this hard landing would be as visceral if this wasn't a model.
I mean, one of the things that makes this work, and I mean, whether or not this was a detail in the design or just something that happened, but like those lines of lights on the bottom of the thing and how they're all crooked and lights are off and everything like that. I mean, that's like detail like that really, you know, adds to the realism too. You know, it's like, it's not a perfect design. It's not a perfect ship. It's something which, you know, these 7 people or whatever it is have been working on while out in the middle of nowhere for, you know, God knows how long. It's cool.
There was I once had a conversation with somebody in the industry, and he will remain nameless, and he and I were arguing over Ridley Scott. Like, I love Ridley Scott. I think he's a fantastic director, even though I haven't liked his movies for the past 10 years.
The Martian.
But except for The Martian. But I still was trying to argue the merits of Ridley Scott, and this individual was telling me, he's like, he is a much better set designer than he is a director. And he started citing examples of Blade Runner. And what do you guys think about that? Do you think Ridley Scott is a better set designer than he is a director?
No, he's a great set designer, but I mean, look at everything at play in this scene. Look at, the performances. Look at the freaking lighting. Like, I'm fairly convinced that this is one of the best looking movies ever.
I know he was heavily involved with the casting of this movie, so for that alone, I can't really call him a bad director.
Yeah, I find he is a good kind of set designer, but he's great at so many other aspects of producing films, making films, that I think it would be disingenuous to just reduce his role down to, he's just good at the set designs. I'm the same as you, Tristan. Well, I think Prometheus is actually better than people give it credit for, and I mean, that's kind of damning with faint praise, I admit. A lot of his films in the past 10 years, whether it's kind of the, what's the one with Orlando Bloom, The Kingdom of Heaven. There's so many of his movies where there's parts where I may not have enjoyed the movie, but I can pull things apart going, I actually think it looks visually great. I think he's done really well here. He's done really well there. It's just maybe that the film hasn't worked for me. So I'm not willing to write him off as a director. I just think some of the choices he's made in terms of the films, or maybe he's done a bit too many personal projects as opposed to, better films. It's hard to say. I wouldn't write him off as a director. I'd make that my mistake.
I hope not. I'm wishing him, I'm sending him all the best of luck for next year with Covenant.
Yes, absolutely. What do you guys think about that?
I'm looking forward to it.
I'm excited. Dan, I think the casting has got me practically giddy. I mean, anyone that's listened to the Filibuster knows I'm a huge Fassbender fan, Noomi Rapace, and I'm excited at the casting of Danny McBride. Kenny Powers in the Alien universe is a selling product for me. I think it could be a big mistake of as a movie, but I'm practically, I made the same mistake with Prometheus. Oh, this could be the best film ever. The trailers are amazing, and I've already fallen into the trap that I'm thinking this could be the best thing yet. But I'm optimistic.
I'm looking forward. It's been too long since we've seen the Xenomorph proper on the big screen, so I'm just looking forward to seeing that design again.
Yeah, I thought Prometheus was really good, and I'm looking forward to the sequel to that. And I like the idea of, this kind of like bridging the gap trilogy, if that's what he wants to do. That's cool. I mean, I will go to see anything that Ridley Scott does, no matter what, because to me he's made like 4 legit masterpieces so far. So even if he's made 10 crappy movies in a row, which I don't think he has. I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt. He's earned that, I think.
I think he's brought more to the sci-fi genre and revolutionized it more than, dare I even say, George Lucas. Thank God John and Matt aren't here, I'd be crucified. But I genuinely believe Ridley Scott has done more for sci-fi as a genre than George Lucas. George Lucas, I'm not disputing the influence Star Wars has had, because hell, we're seeing so many directors influenced by that and that have gone on to create amazing films. But in terms of what Ridley Scott has done with Alien, Blade Runner and beyond, he really has changed the aesthetic. These movies have inspired so many different people. He's not just got lightning in a bottle one time and it's almost been diluted and shared around since. He has, given people an amazing, ideas and concepts for the genre to play with.
Just now we saw some monitors of their head cameras, and we're about to see the ship through those same monitors. I really appreciate the attention to detail where that was actual video. That wasn't film just put onto a monitor that they shot with one of their film cameras. It's actual video. It's a live feed, and it really adds to the realism.
I have to say, I mean, that's a good point, but I just want to say this while this scene is on. This is the scene where when I first watched this movie, I started to really like Ripley.
Yeah, I mean, this is a great scene, and I mean, the other 2 characters are super charming as well, even though they're being, a couple of jerks.
Realistically, that would be us on the spaceship.
My favorite, non-Ripley character in this has got to be Yaphet Kotto.
Yeah, for sure. He's
Yeah,
awesome.
Lee, I think you have something there. I think Lee and Matt would be the Parker and Brett of of Alien.
Well, and we just saw the spacesuits for the first time, and I believe Adam Savage of MythBusters fame made one of these for one of the Comic-Cons he went to, and they're just so layered that I think the actors were always overheating because there was no way to breathe, to have your skin breathe.
Have you heard the commentary on this where the actors actually discuss filming the sequence? It makes me claustrophobic just hearing them talk about it.
Yeah, they said I mean, actors should get a lot of props for what they have to put up sometimes.
It's something like John Hurt had to have an on-set nurse with an oxygen tank waiting for him after they cut. Supposedly it was that bad.
Oh, you can see the condensation building up on the inside of the of the face plates or whatever they are, and yeah, you can tell that there was not much air going on. That cat looks just like my cat. I kind of wish I would have named my cat Jones. Anyway,
I actually think the Aliens movies are actually a great selling product for buying home video. That me and Matt talked about it when we did an Aliens podcast you can find on the Filibuster. And we spoke about how there's an amazing documentary series that runs over the 4 movies. And there's actually an amazing documentary on Prometheus too. But on these Alien movies, there's such an in-depth documentary where it talks about all the kind of hard times of making this movie from start to finish and everything in between. And it really was a punishing environment for the talent and for the creators working on Pinewood Studios. It was long days. The studios, the sets were ridiculously cold. It really was kind of trial by fire to create this movie. And I highly recommend, if anyone's, pick up the DVDs, make sure it's the one with the special features, and you'll get something that's as good as any feature-length film for learning how to make films, understanding films, and what it was like to make these masterpieces and at times failures.
I mean, I don't know about you guys, but I assume you've gotten some of the Alien special features and stuff, and I think that they're probably some of the best extras that's ever been produced for a DVD or Blu-ray release.
Those were done by a guy named I'm sure I'm going to mess this up, Charlie de Lazarica, who he does pretty much all of Ridley Scott's movies, and he did a fantastic job with this set. But yeah. But Alien as a franchise has sort of a rich history of having elaborate box sets for video releases. The Alien...
They treat Alien fans really well.
Yeah, the Alien and Aliens Laserdisc releases were 2 of the biggest ever. They came in huge boxes. Aliens was the special edition, and I had those as a kid, and I would just watch them nonstop. It was great.
The VHS box sets were huge too.
Yeah, 20th Century Fox came out with special collector's editions for a lot of pictures, like Planet of the Apes, a lot of the Alien movies, Die Hard, and so I tried to scoop up as many of those as I could. So I have the ones for Alien and Aliens, and I think Alien 3. But yeah, it's 2 discs. You get all the extra commentary, you get audio extras. So the menus are gorgeous. It's just they really do treat the fans well.
I've just checked the Nerd Party bank account, and we've just received a nice check from Fox Entertainment. So thank you very much.
Now, since we're reaching the ship, would this be a good time to start talking about one of the unsung heroes of this movie, that being H.R. Giger?
Oh, yes.
Thank you for pronouncing his name first. Because I never can.
I love the work, on the spaceship and everything. I mean, Giger... his design of the alien, I think, is fantastic. His design of the sets down here is maybe a bit over the top at times. I don't know. What do you guys think? I mean, this set, it kind of looks like it's designed by Maud Lebowski, no?
But I mean, what I like about his designs, including this ship, is that he's good at creating an atmosphere just with set design, and I mean, the ship, here, it truly lives up to the title of the movie. It is completely alien.
That's true.
Yeah, Matt, I think I'd have to I'd have to agree with you on that aspect where, like Schindler, I'm not saying you're wrong because I think you're right. I think there is times when it is a little over the top where you're like, how is this functional? But I think the sheer reason why we're asking ourselves that question is because it's so alien, because it is so foreign to us. It's like, what kind of situation would this arise where this would be functional? And I think it's something that we might not understand. I don't know, from a storytelling perspective.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But I also remember for the longest time, with this ship, there was the thought of, well, who is the original pilot? I mean, is the alien a stowaway just as much as, or is it the alien ship? And there was always this conjecture of how it, and I know that's been explained more in the more recent films, but, back when it was just like Aliens and Alien 3, you didn't know how this, you have the space jockey, piloting his ship, and he looks like he's been infected by a chest burster. Yeah. So it's like, once he died, did the aliens have time to like redecorate the entire ship and just put all their stuff all over the walls? Very Borg-esque.
I love that they use children for that wide shot.
Yeah.
I think that's so great. That's such a great way to really just they use miniature people so that the miniatures look bigger. I love that. It's so fantastic.
It's brilliant.
I've got a question for you guys. Obviously, like people always talk about here, we've got what will become known as the engineers, and that people always watched Alien and went, this was a kind of selling point for making a prequel trilogy. Everyone always wonders, who are these people? What are their origin? What's their story about? Like, for me personally, whenever I watched Alien, I always thought, wow, that's kind of so mysterious. That's pretty cool. But I never wanted to almost know more. What was it like with you when you see this engineer here, this elephant almost in a seat? Did you feel that you wanted a backstory to it? Did you invent your own? What was your kind of reaction to this?
I don't even remember like thinking of needing a backstory when I first watched this, because I was too busy taking everything in that I didn't even think to give this guy a backstory, and then I get lost in the narrative later. So, I mean, I can see the value in going back and discovering who they were. I mean, it was one of the things that I think was worth exploring out of this first one, but I don't remember thinking that at the time when I watched this.
Same here.
Yeah, I don't think that it's really necessary at all. I mean, to me, one of the things about it, I mean, it's there to show what these aliens can do. And I mean, I think the implication is that not that like, this is, oh my God, it happened to someone else, but it's, oh my God, it's happened to a bunch of other people, and this is just the one that we're coming across,
Yeah.
So I mean, I think that you could swap that alien out for any other, I mean, you could have made it another human ship. And I mean, it wouldn't have worked as well because, why are there so many eggs down there or whatever? But yeah, it serves its purpose perfectly well here, but I don't even think they were even trying to make it mysterious here. I think they were just saying like, well, we need this to tell the story. We need to show that, and I mean, maybe, there's a question as to whether or not they were transporting these eggs or whatever. And that's a bit mysterious, but yeah, I mean, it's weird that they felt, well, I don't know if they felt the need to tell a backstory. I think they saw an opportunity to tell a backstory, honestly.
Yeah.
That's the thing these days, isn't it? That anything that's kind of a bit mysterious, it's an opportunity to make the spin-off comic explaining this, to have the spin-off series explaining this 5 years that no one talks about. It's a bit frustrating, I think, as fans, that so many times, like, that used to be the joy of like being a film fan, perhaps more so in the 90s and like in early 2000s, that we could talk about things like, oh, what's your theory on how Darth Vader became Darth Vader? What's your theory on who that person is in the alien cockpit? And all these ideas you could kind of play with and throw around and be creative. And now it kind of limits that imagination. And while, as I say, I don't think Prometheus is necessarily a bad film, and there's a lot to enjoy about it, even though the ending itself makes kind of no sense in relation to Alien at this point, it's like, I don't really need to know that. It kind of takes away a bit of the fun of Alien in retrospect.
Yeah, I remember before we were all prequel happy, one of the things I liked best about Aliens, the sequel, is it answered a question. I always feel that sequels need to answer something and not just be, let's just do the same thing again. And Aliens, it answers who lays the eggs, which is a very pure question. And I always wanted to put together a movie if I were to write the next great Alien franchise, I would do maybe like Alien Homeworld. Like, what is their homeworld? Because I always felt that the aliens change their physical characteristics based on who they face hug and how they evolve. So that's why the alien we see has, 2 arms and 2 legs and a head, and it looks kind of humanish.
They sort of confirmed that for us in Alien 3, right? Because then
you have
it
the
comes
dog.
it comes out of the dog, and so
Exactly.
it crawls around on all 4s.
So it makes you wonder, what is the pure alien, like the Zero alien, look like? So it'd just be interesting.
I heard originally that was the idea behind what 3 and 4 were going to be before Sigourney Weaver wanted to stop doing them, is that 3 was going to be another, like the aliens reach Earth movie, and then 4 was supposed to, we're going to go to them.
Because the original trailer for Alien 3 is in space, no one can hear you scream, but on the planet Earth, everyone will hear you scream, or something to that effect.
Something like that,
then,
yeah.
Yeah, and then in between that, there's wooden planets, and then we get to a monastery on a planet. So, yeah, the trailer didn't necessarily react with what we got.
Oh, Lee, you'll really like this. The lasers that were used, Scott stole from The Who.
Oh, really? Oh, yeah, I think I heard something similar to that effect, yeah.
They were performing in the studio, like, adjacent to them, yeah.
Well, they do add a lot of ambience.
They do. Before we get to the good stuff, there's one part of this movie that always makes me kind of like laugh at it, and that's the way that John Hurt falls into this pit, because it doesn't look like he actually falls. It looks like he just climbs down.
I think we're looking at cattle stomachs and kidneys in there.
Yeah.
In the
Sheep intestines.
Sheep, okay.
I was like the asymmetry of the ship. Like, it would just felt like, well, what does that part do? Well, why is that part over there? And you never know, which is the perfect answer.
It truly is an alien ship.
Mm-hmm. Our mere human brains can't comprehend it.
Very true.
Yeah, when we think of like spaceships, like and nearly every spaceship we see in the kind of movies up to this point is like the spaceship where a human has built it, or we see a spaceship with an alien on the other end of a viewer. We don't actually get to see the interior necessarily of what an alien ship looks like. It's kind of revolutionary in its own way.
Yeah, so you got that kind of X logo is airlock.
Oh, that's not the Purina logo?
No, the dog chow does not come out of the airlock.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
The dog doesn't show up for 2 more movies.
But they were laying the groundwork already,
yes.
just with the first one. That's insane.
But I like this scene too, where Ripley's totally in the right. She's like, quarantine laws, and then Ash is all just like, boop. Oh, I my finger slipped, and I opened the door, and she's just the look on her face because she's like, what did you just do? This is not going to end well.
For me, Ash truly is the villain of the movie. Take away the xenomorph. Ash is such a loathsome character.
He starts off what's going to be the trope for these movies, where Ash is an extension of the company. The company's the real villain of all these movies.
The company man, yes. Okay, so I was always super pissed, like when oh man, I can never remember her character's name. The woman who's not Ripley.
Oh, Veronica Cartwright's Lambert.
Lambert, thank you. I always forget Lambert's name. When Lambert comes up to Ripley, like this is in the director's cut. They didn't put it in the theatrical
slaps
one.
her.
Yes, that's what I was getting to. Yes, when Lambert slaps Ripley, that always pissed me off so bad because she was just following protocol.
Maybe that's why they cut it out of the original cut and should have never put it back in for the quote-unquote director's cut, which isn't really a director's cut.
All right, Schindler, you mentioned that before. I'd really like you to talk about that. I want you to talk about your feelings about that.
Well,
I do.
Yeah, my feelings... It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous, and it's all the Exorcist's fault because, they released the version you've never seen, in theaters. And that at the time wasn't a director's cut either, but Friedkin has since come around to it and now calls it a director's cut. And they released it in theaters. It was huge. It did massive business. So the following year, I think it was, coming up on I think it was 25th anniversary of Alien. So Fox was like, let's do that for Alien. Let's release a director's cut. And Scott's like, I did that back in 1979. It's called Alien. I think you've seen it. It's a good movie. You should check it out. And Fox was like, well, okay, but here's the deal. We need to give them something more. We can't just release the same movie. Who would go to see that? So put more stuff in it. And he's like, I don't want to do that. And they said, well, then we're going to do it. And he's like, well, if you're going to do it, then let me do it. So he went in with Dodie Dorn, actually, Christopher Nolan's editor from back in the day. And they put a bunch of stuff in and also took a bunch of stuff out. And he's like, yeah, this is okay. Whatever. He fixed some pacing issues which he thought existed, and he put in some things which were gratuitous and unnecessary, and they called it the director's cut. And then when the DVD came out and they had both versions on it, he wrote a little note which is in the box for the DVD saying, okay guys, here's what happened. This isn't the director's cut, it's a director's cut, but the theatrical version is what I was doing, and it came out exactly the way I wanted it to, and this is what it is. And it just infuriates me that, for one thing, they made him change the movie for no reason. It's even shorter than the theatrical cut.
Yeah, 5 minutes shorter.
But then, on top of that, they called it the director's cut. So now everyone's like, oh, yeah, let's check out the director's cut. And it's like you're watching basically a version of the movie which shouldn't exist anymore. It just makes me so mad. And that's, back when the Laserdiscs came out, they had the director's cut of Aliens, but, this was the same thing, and they just had the deleted scenes on a separate disc. And it's like, yeah, that's the way it should be. They didn't feel the need to mess with it back in 1992 or whatever it was. You shouldn't be messing with it now.
And this is why you always put your med bay on the top floor of your spacecraft.
Now, Mike, with what you're talking about, it makes me think of Gladiator. Gladiator was such a massive success that they wanted to do a re-release on DVD and Blu. Actually, I don't know if it came out on Blu-ray, but they wanted to do an extended edition, and Ridley Scott did a video intro for this extended edition and said, just so you know, this is not a director's cut. And like my director's cut was called Gladiator. It was the exact same situation where it's just like, this is an extended cut. This is just some extra scenes just to show you a little bit more of what we were thinking of doing. And then boom, you see the movie. And I was always very appreciative of that when I watched that.
He must spend a ridiculous amount of time doing introductions for Blade Runner movies. That going, right, this is the director's cut. And he's probably got post-it notes trying to go, right, which one's this again? This is the extended version without the narration. Oh, no, sorry. This is the final cut. I promise. So, yeah. I always say fair play to Ridley Scott, that you always have the option of picking the other movies, you don't have them erased from history, that you can always go, hey, I can pick up this movie even at the start of this Blu-ray here. Do you want to watch the director's cut, the theatrical cut? His box sets always give you the options as well, so it's always greatly appreciated as a film fan that even if you have a perverse pleasure in watching the director's cut, that you've got that option.
And that's the big thing for me, the fact that as long as we can watch his original vision, that's great. And the fact that he's so upfront about it. But,
Star Wars on Blu-ray. Sorry.
but it was a problem for a while theatrically. They made new prints and everything for the director's cut, and they had a DCP for the director's cut, and for years and years and years, if you were going to see this movie in the theater, it was going to be the director's cut. And then finally, about a year ago, maybe 2 years ago, they did a DCP for the theatrical cut, and now finally most theaters are showing the theatrical cut again, although I did see the director's cut last year and it upset me greatly. But yeah, so finally we're getting to see the theatrical cut in theaters once again.
All the times I've seen this in the theater, it's always been the theatrical cut.
I've seen both in the cinema. I've seen the original 70mm or whatever it was, and the director's cut, the digital cut. It's one of these ones that's like Alien and Aliens always seem to be doing the rounds up and down the country for retro screening events. It's you never not have the chance to see it.
Yeah, speaking of which, in 2 days I get to see Aliens in 70mm for the first time. I'm very excited.
Oh, if you get it with the Dolby, it's a treat.
Yeah, I saw that print back on Alien Day, and it looks really good. Although that's a whole other thing. Don't even get me started as to why they're showing that movie on film. I won't go down that road.
All right. Let's not push him down that rabbit hole because he might not come back out.
One of the things I really like about Alien and the whole franchise is the sound design is amazing. I mean, we just had a scene where the workers are working in the bowels of the ship, and there's squeaks and there's clanks and there's just... I recognize the spark sound from this movie. I recognize the klaxon sound, and they become almost iconic in just the noises you hear as you move about the ship. They're so well done in placing you in this universe. You could play a clip with no dialogue, and I can't see it, like I'm just audio, and I could probably place this movie or a piece of it just because the sound quality is so strong.
And there's that warble that they recycle in Empire Strikes Back, which I think is great. That little ambient noise, that woo, you know what I'm talking about?
Mm-hmm.
And they have it like when at the end in Bespin.
Right.
Know. It's cool.
Wait, is that when? Wait, where is that?
Well, here you hear it like throughout this movie. You know, it's just kind of like the ambience of the ship. But then you hear it again in Empire Strikes Back when right before Luke gets a bunch of stuff thrown at him with the Force. You know.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So.
Okay.
Are you still
Awesome.
collating on that, Tristan?
I'm still, yeah. You could see the wheels spinning in my brain. Like, what? I'm fast forwarding through the movie in my brain.
This is what we get for not having a Jedi Master on the show.
Yeah, I'm a Jedi Knight at best. So, I really always appreciated this conversation that Ripley had with Ash because it's a conversation that needed to happen. They're being paid to do a job. She has a job, he has a job. And in a real life scenario, if someone pulled that crap on me, you're damn right I'd be confronting them face to face and say, like, yeah, don't do that again.
Yeah.
And you always see it there with Ash's body. Like, you see him, like, the way he turns round when he looks. It's all very straight. It's not a natural kind of flow. Even the way he's standing, it's very rigid. That he's got that kind of robot body language, but it's very kind of subtly done.
One of the things I liked about the Alien franchise was the alphabetical progression of their names. So you have Ash, you have Bishop, you have Call, you have David. I really like it's a little thing, but I love how that happens.
Yeah,
I never noticed
great,
that.
but the OCD throws me totally off. Like that A, B, C, D. But it should be like D doesn't come before A, and it's even though it's just
well, okay,
I'm over it.
yes.
I'm sure I'm over it.
In
Release order. Release order.
Well, what was in Resurrection?
Call.
Cow.
So what was in the third one?
Third one was just a
there was
still
Bishop.
repeat of Bishop.
Okay.
Yeah.
I barely remember those movies.
I will defend Alien 3
Yeah, you will.
till the day I die, but I'm not going to do it today.
Even David Fincher isn't going to do it for you, Tristan. So you're a one-man machine here.
I do enjoy the extended cut of Alien 3. I feel it adds a lot.
I think if you're forced to watch Alien 3, the assembly cut's the only way to go. But
it puts back in so much that you need.
but Alien 3 is just best avoided altogether.
Nope, wrong.
I'm
All
actually
of it.
gutted. I've seen Alien 3 just once on the big screen at like an all-day Alien marathon. And when I'm in London in 2 weeks' time for the Aliens live at the Albert Hall with the orchestra, and like in the evening at the Prince Charles Cinema, they're showing Aliens 3. Is it the assembly cut? I think it's one of the editions. And I'm like, oh my god! And I'm looking at the time, like it kind of starts at 6 and my bus is at 8:30. So I'm like kind of trying to talk the time up my head. I'm like, oh, I can't do a double bill of Aliens at the kind of live and then rushing across to the cinema, then rushing to the bus. It's I've kind of got to take it for the team.
You're making the right choice. That even as an Alien fan, I don't think I would pay money to see Alien 3 in the theater.
Such a naysayer. Anyway, with this scene, moving on away from your unabashed hate, with this, I always appreciate the we're locked in the room with it scenes in Alien.
And the low camera angle, almost as if we're
Yes.
from the perspective of the facehugger.
And shooting it handheld as well just kind of adds to that. Like there is
Builds that tension.
It's a creature moving around. And just the editing and everything in this scene is fantastic. It's sort of the misdirection, the use of negative space, and all that other good stuff. It's pretty fantastic.
And Scott did all the handheld stuff himself.
Yeah.
Good job, Ash. Someone thought to close the door.
Yeah.
Like, I really do think that this is one of the best photographed movies in history. And I think the reason this movie's existence is the reason why I am in love with like anamorphic photography and lens flares and everything like that. Because this to me like is the definition of, high gloss, blockbuster aesthetic in a sense. I know that sounds weird because it's such a small movie in terms of the overall scale visually, and right here this little bit where he pokes it feels like he hits something, and then they cut and you see the thing dangle behind her. I mean, that's just brilliant editing. Anyway, yeah, but I love the look of this movie so much. Photographically, and the guy who shot it barely shot anything, which is weird.
But yeah, just the use of real organic pieces in the face hugger, it just makes it, because you couldn't duplicate that. I mean, you could get close, but it looks like something that was alive.
Yeah.
Disgustingly alive.
I mean, half of it was something that was alive, right? Didn't they use like oyster things or something like that? Yeah.
I mean, no one talks about how it smells, but we all know it probably smelled pretty bad. Now, Ash says it's the first time we've encountered a species like this. Does that mean there are other alien species we have encountered? Or
I mean, it's definitely implied in the second one because they're talking about other alien species in the second one.
That's true. The second one's where we actually get the xenomorph moniker for this particular alien.
Right, and that's the thing. Like Max, my co-host on Commentary Track Stars, is always very, very upset when people refer to the alien as the xenomorph, because he's like, it's not specifically that alien. It's there are bajillions of xenomorphs. You know what I mean? So
I'm going to ask you guys a question. I want to see who comes the closest. How long do you think the alien actually appears for in this movie?
4 minutes.
Darren, I'll let you go first.
Oh,
well.
Like
Cheers,
screen
Tristan.
time.
I thought, here we go. I'm just trying to kill 2 hours here for a commentary, and here we go. Tristan's got the show. Forget it.
I'm going to say 3 minutes.
Well, let me ask you, Lee. Are we counting the alien in all forms, or are we counting just the warrior?
The warrior.
Yeah. Then I'm gonna go with something like 3 minutes sounds about right. I'd be surprised if it's longer.
No, I already took 3 minutes. You got to pick something else.
2 minutes and 30 seconds.
Should we play your cards right, higher or lower for the alien screen time? The correct answer is 4 minutes.
Wow.
that's a lot longer than I thought. I was going to say like a minute 15 or something.
Probably
like
most
that.
of that's in the shuttle at the end where he's just in the background of most shots.
Yeah.
I always think it looks, see when it's like going back up in space, that it just looks like a Christmas tree, like in the distance, just the lights underneath.
Well, and this ship, obviously it can land, but it probably wasn't designed to do that a lot.
No.
Kind of like Voyager.
If only Voyager's like landing and takeoff was as difficult as this, it would be exciting.
I mean, they have to land on 3 platforms. You know, Voyager can land on 4. That's like easy. Although obviously it lands at least some, because someone designed 4 giant lights in the back to light up wherever they're landing. You know, someone thought of that.
I do like that Dallas was so pissed that they were still on the ground when like Ripley gives him the status report. He's like, "What? Come on! I need to get off this planet."
I mean, one thing that we haven't talked about yet is the music by Jerry Goldsmith. One of the best scores ever. I mean, to me, like the thing about it, which I think really works, is that it's so calming. You know, whenever there's like a tense moment, with very few exceptions, there's no music. You know, but for the most part, he just creates like this atmosphere of calm. You know, almost like to put us at ease. And I know that they used a lot of music from like other scores that he wrote, like I guess like the movie Freud or something like that, and he was really upset about that. But I mean, I don't know, you know, the cues that they took from that movie, I think, are some of my favorite cues in the movie, and I think they work perfectly well here.
Yeah, didn't that I don't know if you said this exactly, but didn't that disqualify him from getting an award for it?
No, that could be.
Yeah, I think he didn't get an award or couldn't even be nominated for an award of Alien because he took cues from his previous work.
It's the same with Clint Mansell with Black Swan, one of the best modern scores, but because they used extracts from other scores, it was immediately discredited.
Yeah, There Will Be Blood as well. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Hopefully this podcast will generate a letter writing campaign for the Academy that will really influence that. It'll be good for publicity.
At most, we're probably just going to get a change.org petition. And
Ridley Scott does that, though. He used some stuff from Blade 2 in Gladiator, which is crazy.
I didn't know that.
Yeah,
I don't remember that.
I don't know what it was, but it's in the credits at the end of the movie.
That's crazy. I love that we don't get the chestburster scene until halfway through the movie, almost exactly halfway through the movie. That is, you would never see that today.
No.
Yeah, we don't even see a human being until 5 minutes into the movie.
No dialogue till 6.
The whole first couple of acts would have been maybe 15 minutes if it was made today.
Which I know we didn't mention it in the very beginning, but the opening titles with how the bars slowly fade in and spell Alien is just great. It's a perfect way to take you into this world. You got this beautiful matte painting of this planet, and it's just and again the sound design, the weird warbles in the background. It sets you on the ride.
I always wonder, is that like, I always wondered what the beer that they're drinking there on the ship. Like, I'm surprised there's never been like a variant released where they like, you can buy the Alien beer. You can obviously buy Romulan wine, and I'm sure you can make your own blue milk. But you've never seen like the can from the Nostromo and all the sci-fi junk people can buy.
I was trying to see like if they had any kind of like any Asian writing or Middle Eastern writing on it, because that feels like something that would be thrown into a Scott film.
If this was a J.J. Abrams movie, it'd be Budweiser Classic.
It'd be a Slusho mix.
Here begins the scene that everybody remembers from this film.
I don't know. I mean, I think they did the scene a little better in the end of Spaceballs, but that's just me.
One take, 4 cameras.
I like the thing that always I always found most disturbing about this. I don't know, maybe because it's realist, is like them trying to get the spoon in his mouth.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
I mean,
But
like that.
that's
I think
what they would
adds
do.
so much to it. Yeah.
Although they kind of fail, but
Yeah, Parker doesn't do that great of a job.
And I just like Ash in this whole scene, like at the beginning as everything kicks off, he's just kind of sat in his chair, and then when the creature comes out, just leave it. He really is such a despicable character. Like when you watch, say, the second or third time, and you're just picking up on all his evil deeds, all his manipulation, he's just such a horrible individual.
Mm-hmm.
And the chestburster.
And so begins the Alien Anthology series.
He is kind of cute, you know.
Yeah, he's a little adorable. I've always wanted to do that for Halloween. Just like be John Hurt and just like have the alien sticking out of my chest.
Yeah. I have a stuffed, like it's a life-size stuffed face hugger, and it freaks my wife out so much that she makes me keep it like packed away in a box, and she won't go near the box, you know. But it's cute. It's a little plush, you know.
When people found out that the girl was pregnant, people sent me pictures of that saying, "Oh, you totally need to put this in the baby's crib," and I was like, "Don't think I won't."
And I love this scene, that little sort of like bridging scene of just shots of the ship. And I mean, this kind of like speaks to the pacing and everything, the rhythm of the film. And, it really gives you needed time to breathe, because we just saw something which was insane and super hyper. And now we have a minute to kind of take a breath, say goodbye. And also we've got the side break on the Laserdisc coming up right here, which is one of the best Laserdisc side breaks in Laserdisc history. It's perfect.
Wait, explain that to me. What do you mean by that?
I'm assuming it's time to flip it over.
Right there.
Okay,
Yes.
okay. I'm sorry. My brain was not making that connection. Sorry.
It is a Sunday. We are recording this commentary track on, so viewers, listeners, please give Tristan forgiveness. I know how hard it is to make it, but that's why.
So now we're on side B of the Laserdisc for people watching this on Laserdisc. But also, it's perfect because it's like the midway point, and now we've entered like the second phase of this movie, really,
Yeah, this is the second act, really.
Yeah, we've said goodbye to
Kane.
John Hurt, Kane, and now it's time for business. Now it's time to kill this thing.
Yeah, good luck with that.
Now, okay, so this Laserdisc only had one disc?
Well, the re-release that came out in like 1996 or 97, where they did it in CLV, it was only one disc, an hour on a side. But the original huge box set was CAV, constant angular velocity, so that you could pause and go frame by frame. But the problem with that format was you could only fit a half an hour on a side. So that was actually 2 discs, 4 sides.
Okay, yeah, I remember like when I was watching Empire Strikes Back, like just constantly having to flip over the disc.
Yeah,
I remember having 2 VHSs for Titanic.
Yeah.
Just like vinyl, Laserdisc will make a comeback, rest assured.
Oh, God, I hope so. I hope so much.
I once bought 3 what I thought were albums of the soundtracks for like Top Gun, and I'm like, oh, this is great. Get home, pull it out, Laserdisc.
You win.
Say it did not work in my record player.
Like I've never owned a Laserdisc player, will ever own one, but I've got like loads of Laserdiscs of movies that I like, that one day when I own my own flat, that I'm going to put them in frames and put them up somewhere, that you can pick them up so cheap in like record shops or used things, that you just kind of, like you think of it with vinyl, people are spending like £12, £15 almost for the art, for like some of this amazing art you can get for like Alien, Star Trek and beyond, that you're like paying just a couple of quid for like vinyl quality artwork.
That's exactly. I mean, I've got Laserdiscs hanging up on all my walls, and it's also great. Like if you're getting autographs, you pull out like the Laserdisc and have them sign the silver platter, And now,
Nice.
What I saw, there's a company in the UK which is going to be selling Laserdisc-sized packaging of Disney movies, like Force Awakens and Guardians of the Galaxy. You can get a Laserdisc.
Yeah.
I need to get that. Oh man!
I think it's all kicking off kind of next month, as far as I'm aware. There's a few of the titles. It's like big vinyl size, and you get like art prints inside. Oh, I've just checked the Nerd Party bank account, and we've just paid some money from Disney Entertainment. Oh, we're in the money, boys.
I was gonna say we're bankrolling this episode now. Okay, I actually years ago, I think this was before eBay really took off, I was looking for an old Laserdisc player because mine busted, and I remember calling an old audio visual repair shop. And I called them up and I was like, hey, do you guys have any Laserdisc players hanging around? Any that you want to get rid of or anything like that? And like, I got a hold of some kid and he's just like, he had no idea what I was talking about. Mm-hmm. And I was like, okay, well, go find somebody else and ask them. They bring somebody else to the phone. He has no idea what I'm talking about. And then they get a third person to talk to the manager. And then the third person comes back and says, yeah, my manager doesn't think they make those anymore. It's like,
really?
Yeah. Thank you so much. Thank you very much.
Yeah. One day.
So the hunt for Alien, not Xenomorph, apparently.
Well, it is a Xenomorph. It's just not the Xenomorph.
I just like calling it the Xenomorph. It's such a cool name.
Oh yeah, no, I'm going to continue doing that. But I love how Like, this is another example of how it's not Star Trek. They don't have any guns. They don't have a phaser. They don't have anything futuristic. They don't even have bullets. They have a flashlight. They have a net, and they got like a little cattle prod. It's fantastic. It adds to the suspense because we know because of movie logic that none of this is going to work.
For me, I always think of this scene that I don't know if any of you's ever played the Alien trilogy game for the PlayStation 1. It was one of the first games I was ever given as a kid. And like part of it, you're just like kicking around the Nostromo, and it's got the beep, beep, beep. And whenever I watch like the movie and then with Aliens as well with the scanner, I always get taken back to that PlayStation 1 game and the sound design on that the game wasn't like the greatest in the world. You're kind of pretty generic, but the sound design on the game was just like outstanding, and it really tied into the movie so well.
I have a personal hatred for that game because I spent the entire summer playing Resident Evil 1, and I got nearly to the end, which is a big deal for me in video games, and then I bought that Alien game, and I played it for like 10 minutes, and I'm like, how do you save? Where's the save button? And then I go to this thing, and I'm like, reformat memory card. That must be save. That's save. All right, let's do that. And I lost my Resident Evil progress. 3 months worth of Resident Evil down the drain for Alien trilogy.
Let's all spare a thought for young Mike Schindler right now.
Yes, let's please have a moment of silence for his Resident Evil play.
I never did finish Resident Evil.
It's hard to, like, when you put that much work into a game and then like the file gets corrupted, or you like somehow like the cards didn't get swapped, or even today like it didn't upload properly into my Xbox One cloud. You're just like, you know what? I don't want to go back. I don't want to go back and do all that stuff over again. It's not worth it.
Yep.
This scene right here is, I know, like Lee, you're watching this on Blu-ray, but I think most of us are watching it in standard definition. When my wife got me the Blu-ray set of all the Alien movies, this scene in particular, for some reason, really stood out in high definition. Just the textures of everything within that cabin space, and the water dripping down, even the pores on his face, the stubble on his cheeks. It just really, really popped when he was underneath the trickling water.
It really reminds me of like an oil rig in a way, that with like you even see things, grease, oil, everything's kind of, it's just horrible in a way, and it reminds you of that environment. You can almost just imagine going in it, and like you see those textures and colors, and it's awesome.
Yeah, they did a fantastic job with this transfer. I was watching it last night, and I was just kind of blown away again and again by every shot. The contrast and the detail, while still maintaining the film look. Not DNRing it to hell or anything like that. It's a really, really great transfer.
And you just know this whole moment, it's the ultimate tease. This guy's dead from the moment he's like, go look for the cat. You're like, he's dead. And it just builds and builds from the sound. Oh, horrible.
This scene, before the horror even happens, if you know what the alien looks like, I like the part of this movie where you can spot it hanging from the chain. You guys have seen that before, right?
Yeah. It's suffocating because you're almost like at the back, you're almost in the cinema, like, you want to start screaming, get out, come on, get out of there. But you can't obviously shout or speak in the cinema, and you want to save this guy. You can save this guy almost. But no, you as a listener, as a watcher, almost feel you're setting this guy off to his doom. That you're no.
Lee, you clearly haven't been to an American cinema.
Oh, I've been to an American cinema, and don't get me started on that.
My cousin told me that he's like a symphonic percussionist or something like that, and he had some sort of audition back in 1979, and he was really, really nervous about getting this job, and he was in like New York by himself, and he decided the night before, just to relax, he was going to go see this movie Alien, and he watched it, and he said that it was so intense and everything like that, and it was so terrifying when he first saw the alien that he came out of the theater and he's like, well, this audition's nothing because I've already seen the most terrifying thing. I've already experienced the most terrifying thing in my life watching Alien. So everything else is easy now. So it's a walk in the park, as Ficata would say.
There's the tail. Nice. This is such a great reveal.
Yeah. I mean, it's just a beautiful, beautiful design.
This is where you really get to take in Giger's design.
That cat, I mean, that's just like exactly something my cat would do, and he looks just like him.
Apparently what they did was they put a German Shepherd in front of Jonesy so that he would react to the alien.
Yeah.
I think one of the most haunting shots of this movie is you don't really get to see where Brett goes. I like it just focuses on Joan's face.
Yeah, the scene originally went on longer and like blood came down. Was that in the director's cut?
Yeah. It's in the director's cut because Ripley and Parker come running in.
Yeah.
So, all right, I'm going to continue Lee's little trivia here. What year does Alien take place?
2122.
All right, everybody else in agreement? Yes, no? Different guesses?
I mean, we don't find out until one of the later movies, right?
I know Alien. I think I'm right because I'm pretty sure Aliens takes place in 2179. So you subtract 57 years.
Yeah.
Yeah, 2121.
All right, Matt. Yes, you are right. 2122.
Good job.
This was some of my favorite parts of the movie was them coming together. Like every single time they came together, it was after somebody died. They're like, okay, what do we do now? And then another person dies. And then they're like, okay, what do we do now? And then another person goes, and it's just like, okay, we're going to blow up the ship. That's what we're going to do.
That's what I would do. Just blow it up and get out of there. Just Ash, so methodical. Yes, animals retreat from fire.
There was that scene, we missed it a couple scenes ago where, he's talking about the motion detector and she's like, what's it key on? And he's like, micro changes in air density. I mean, that's like, it makes no sense, and it looks like she's going along with it. But then in the next scene where you just hear her under her breath mutter like, micro changes in air density, my ass. Yeah, it's great. It's just like a throwaway thing that you can very easily miss, but...
I forgot until I started watching this film a few years ago again that the motion tracker was a thing in this film. Obviously, it's not as cool as what we get in the next film, but
yeah.
So here's a question. Like me and Matt discussed this on the Filibuster show. It is people are either Star Trek or Star Wars or whatever. What is everyone's favorite, Alien or Aliens? I'd love to know everyone's where they fall in this.
It's like killing your children to pick a side. It's like Sophie's Choice, but I'm an Aliens guy just because I love both casts, but I love the Marines a lot.
I think I'd have to say Alien is the better of the two movies, but I think that it's gotten to the point now, maybe because I've seen Aliens so many times, but Aliens seems more watchable to me at this point in time. But I love them both. I mean, they're both masterpieces, and I love how different they are from each other. But I'd have to go with the first one.
And yet they still feel like they're in the same universe, which is good.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, I'd have to go with Alien. I think Alien is by far the better movie, even though Aliens is a great movie and it's a much more exciting movie. Yeah, I think Alien is much more well executed and better acted.
Yeah, I'd be the same. I as a kid, Aliens had everything that you wanted as a teenager: guns, action, Bill Paxton. And then as an adult, I always enjoyed Alien more as an adult, I've always kind of appreciated it a lot more, just everything about it.
That being said, I think there is an argument that even though this movie is iconic, and I do think it's iconic, and we get some iconic stuff with like the chest burster and even the tagline, but I would even argue that a lot of the iconography that most people think of when it comes to this series actually comes from the second one, with the Queen, the power loader, get away from her, you bitch, game over.
Yeah, I think there's definitely a case for that. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I saw something on Twitter the other day where they're like, this is the whatever anniversary. I forget what it was. It was some reference to Alien. And then they had, I think someone was showing Alien actually. And they're like, here, check it out. And then they had like a picture of Ripley from Aliens. And it's like, no, that's not, no, guys, never mind.
Like, it's like getting the wrong Enterprise.
Yeah.
It's impossible not to see the vents in Alien now and not think of Alien Isolation. Even the noise they make when they open on the game just always takes me back into this.
Absolutely.
So I can't remember if you guys could think back, or even if you knew ahead of time that Ripley was the main character, but at what point in the film did you start to suspect that Dallas wasn't going to be the one that carried this movie?
Probably as soon as he got into the shaft.
I don't know. I can't really say because I feel like I might have been tainted by extra knowledge.
See, that's the hard part. Yeah, because I knew Sigourney Weaver was in all of these, so
yeah, it's hard to say because of that. Because like even though I hadn't seen these before, I knew of its existence and I knew that Sigourney Weaver was the common thread. But I think it was around the time, even within it though. I knew that she was going to be a survivor, obviously, but I feel like in my mind it became her movie, and this is I wouldn't say this is accurate for the screen. It's really just for me, where when she confronted Ash about disobeying orders and like opening up the bay doors and everything like that and letting them in, that's when I was kind of like, oh, that's when I started paying closer attention to Sigourney Weaver's character.
Yeah, I think I knew going into it exactly what happened. I knew that that Sigourney Weaver's character was going to survive and that the rest of them were going to die, because I obviously had a bunch of friends who were big fans of the franchise. And I mean, even when I was like 7 years old, I had a friend who was slightly older who had seen at that point, both of the movies and, told me about them, and everything. So it was almost like watching something after reading the Cliff Notes.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, it's hard to erase that external knowledge, but I think just trying to watch this from like an objective standpoint, they do a pretty good job of not telling you who the main character is until about halfway through the movie.
Yeah, I was the same. Realistically, it was I can't really remember back. Also, I saw kind of Alien before Aliens, but I never really kind of finished Alien. I was watching it with my grandparents, and I don't think they were overly keen on their young 7-year-old grandkid watching this movie. And I was kind of bored early doors with it. And then obviously I watched Aliens, and then I had this idea, oh, Ripley's the main character. So then watching it back, it was kind of like when I probably watched Alien again, like in my early teens, I was kind of like, oh, that's kind of clever that she's not the main character. Like knowing kind of what comes after it. Sometimes these things are so hard to kind of separate from your head.
To me, this is the scariest part of the film for me.
His jazz hands?
Well, no, not the jazz hands, but it's the fact that it's coming. It's coming.
I know, I'm just messing with you.
The one thing that slightly lets it down for me is that Larbert's just a bit too kind of a bit annoying with the screeching and hollering in it. I would probably be reacting the exact same way when you're kind of watching it. The tension is enough as it is, and just having that kind of almost screeching kind of makes it a bit like, oh, you're kind of feeling a bit more annoyed at points than uncomfortable.
I like Veronica Cartwright, and I forgive the character a lot because, I mean, it's realistic that someone would be hysterical like this, and realistically, I mean, she's most of our point of view, because I know I wouldn't be as cool-headed as Ripley is. And, I mean, she basically serves the same function that Hutchison serves in the sequel.
It's game over, man. Game over.
That is very much what she's doing, yeah.
I'd be a pitch in that like 5 minutes. Let's get on the shuttle. Let's get out of here. Let's go. Let's watch the in-flight movie. Let's go.
If we were on this ship together, as much as I love you for, I mean, I think I would just get the shuttle and leave whether you were on it or not.
Jeez.
Cheers, buddy.
Yeah, way to be a team player, Hansen.
You know, you do like 16 episodes of the filibuster together. You think you've got rapport. People compliment you two, saying, yeah, you two have a great relationship. Then oh my God.
Yeah. Oh, good thing this isn't the Nostromo party.
This does prove that the best party doesn't always happen in a kitchen based on this movie.
I never noticed the fact that they do meet every time someone dies. I've seen this movie 1,000 times, and I've never noticed that's the trope. But,
it's very much the structure of the film, yeah.
Yeah, and this is I think this is the moment, obviously, where it's told to us as an audience that this is Ripley's movie.
Yes, yeah, I'd have to agree with you on that one. Like, as soon as Dallas dies, that's when she steps up, and you're like, oh, okay, she's going to quote unquote save the day. And I could have sworn she was wearing an Apple Watch just now.
Yeah.
Who's to say it's not?
Well, and right here, like you said, now that she's the captain, basically, she's like, oh, and I like how the computer's smart enough to know that she should have access now because Dallas is dead. And she's like, I'll get my own answers.
I didn't ever really thought of it that way. That's smart. That's cool.
Which means the computer's tracking everyone and knows who's living and dying, but yet is not helping very much in this entire situation.
So what did you guys think of the name Mother?
It's cool. It fits with the ship, and I like they gave her a very matronly voice.
Although all she usually does is count 9.
Yeah, and
8,
the subtitles as well
7.
are never they always call it mother, like mother and father, as opposed to mother kind of with the U.
Yeah, isn't it like in Alien Resurrection? It's father.
That's right.
I don't know if this is intentional or not either, but going back to sort of like horror film history or whatever, it does have a similar ring to Psycho, I guess, in a way.
Oh yeah.
Would
True.
Mother
Very
almost
true.
be the oracle? It's like it's telling the adventurers part of their journey, but it's not really being very helpful.
No. Well, I mean, she basically has to coax this thing out of her. By the way, this scene is very fun to watch because every time I've seen it in an audience, there are always some people who, for the life of me, I can't understand, have never seen this movie or heard anything about it. So there's always a few audible reactions when you find out what the real mission is. That's always fun to hear.
Mike, these screenshots of Mother typing, are these the originals?
I would assume so.
I don't think they punched it up.
I think that's.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I mean, I think that they were probably animated, right? I mean, I don't think they were actually looking at a screen for those shots, right?
Yeah, I've seen prints of it, and it's been it's looked like that. With it being when you see Mother, it's not like you're seeing Sigourney Weaver's view of the computer. You're just seeing it on the screen, so it's kind of easier to kind of do the typo font and
Well, that's why the chair moves around, because it's got to move really close to actually read that tiny little monitor in the front. But I love the scene how Ash just appears, because you don't hear him come in, and it's like, what are you doing right there?
See, I mean, I always assumed, and this is one of the things which I thought that was a clever editing trick, as in they're you're not getting access, right? And then she's like, oh, only the science team can get it or whatever. And I always read that as her basically going off, finding Ash, getting him to come in and do this, right? And then they essentially we were cutting to, later on, a few minutes later. No?
No. Because she puts in the emergency command override. That's what it says on
Captain's override, basically.
Okay. All right.
Although now I kind of imagine, what if Mother released the information because she realized Ash was in the room?
That's an interesting thought.
But even though Sigourney, Ripley doesn't see him, it's Locke turned disengaged because science officer present.
I don't know. I'm gonna have to watch that again, because I'm not sure that I agree with that reading of the scene. I think that's two scenes.
No, I don't think that's actually what it is, but it's a fun concept.
I don't know.
There is always porn. There is always
Die
porn.
Hard.
The Abyss.
Well, no, especially in the Alien franchise, there's somehow always porn. There's porn here. There's porn all over the Marines' lockers in the second one.
Maybe this is what my pastor was talking about when he said porn kills. I mean, this is insane.
Yes.
Here's the thing that always confused me about this. What is he trying to do to her with this?
I think he's trying to shove it into her mouth and thus cutting off her air supply.
This is the most inefficient way of killing someone.
You know,
ever.
I mean, he could slap her or snap her neck in like 2 seconds, but he goes for the clavicle.
I'm just going to chalk that up to the fact that he's spazzing out at this moment and he's not thinking logically. But
well, he's sweating.
This
milk,
is probably my favorite whole scene in the kind of the whole movie, the whole Ash and Ripley confrontation. I just love it. It's just the escalation, and it just goes. It's just totally nuts.
Yeah.
The prosthetics of when the head comes off, though, right here are like so cool.
Yeah, I really love that. I love that organic machines. You know, where he's not filled with microchips like Data.
No, he's filled with blobs and
Spaghetti.
tubes and milk.
Yeah, I like that. And I like that Ripley knows how to use it. Like, I like that she knows how to interface with it.
We've complimented Ridley Scott's directing so much, and I think it's deserved. Of course, every film has flaws, and the one flaw in this scene, obviously, is the cut.
Oh, yeah, the
edit.
cut. It's, oh, man, so bad. We're not quite
What
there
is
yet,
it?
but-
Is it that bad?
It's very obvious.
It's noticeable.
Yes.
Nah, I'm fine with it. To me, I'm like, that doesn't take me out of it. To me, I'm just like, oh, I see what you did there, and then I move on.
It doesn't bother me, but it's noticeable. I give it a pass.
It doesn't bother me, but every time I've seen this in a theater with other people, that cut always gets laughs.
Yeah. I'm always like, that was the take you used? There wasn't any better takes that lined it up better?
I went to see a screening of Alien a few months ago, and I've seen Alien so many times, and like it's pretty much always like been respectful. But some people always think a retro screening is kind of like it's Rocky Horror or The Room. It's audience participation, and there was this person that would kind of giggle and sneer all throughout the movie. And at the end of it, all these like fellow geeks lined up to go to him. Why are you doing that? Why were you laughing? What was that all about? And just like all of them taking it turns to just shame this guy for giggling at the movie, and quite rightly so. He was put in his place, and I don't think he's ever been to the cinema ever again.
The subtle acting of Ash right here is so well done.
The problem with that cut is, I mean, in addition to it being really obvious because you're going from, the head to a real head, it's that the shot, I mean, like if you were, take away the effect, that's a bad cut because you're essentially cutting to the same object in the same scale from a very, very slightly different angle. I mean, that's a bad edit.
Show her setting up the head and then zoom in on the neck and then zoom back or something.
Cut to her, cut to a shot of her face as she's putting it down, and then cut back, and then the problem is solved.
I think actually I gave it way more credit than it deserves, because in my memory that was a lot better, and then I saw it just now with you guys, and I'm like, okay, yeah, that's bad.
Well, it sticks out because, like Mike said, there's an easy fix to it, and
well, it's a cut from the same object to same object. You don't do that. It's not a good idea.
Did they fix that in the director's cut?
No, it's still in the director's cut.
It's still in the director's cut. That's crazy. Then I don't know what I'm remembering. My own headcanon, I guess.
I love the modulation they give his voice, and it's just because you can tell he's a little busted.
I mean, you have my sympathies is one of the best lines in this movie.
Yeah,
He's
the ultimate shade queen.
I also it's just milk, right?
It's milk and milk and yogurt, but it's like it's been. I know in the second one it got heated up too much, and it made Lance Henriksen really, really sick.
Ew. So I'm trying to think of where we could how do we evolve to this as a society? Like how does this technology get there? I'm always interested in that jump.
I think that it's happening, I mean, the singularity is coming, right? I mean, with information being what it is and everything, I mean, that's where we're going, right?
I mean, yeah, I totally agree. You think of things like the cloud, for example. We've got a cloud. All our information, all our podcasts, data are all stored in devices and in, servers all around the world. Is it so unrealistic that it wouldn't be put in kind of a human interface kind of model like this, that everything that we know is downloaded into something like that can kind of get around? I don't think we're too far off some kind of interface like that, to be honest.
Oh, I was mainly just talking about like the jumping from purely technical to organic machines. I think would be an interesting story to tell.
Alien 6, organic machines. Where did they come from?
It's the prequel we really, really need.
It's not the prequel we need. It's the prequel we deserve.
There'll be a robot called Edward, or
Oh, it
Edmund or
better
something
go
along
in
those
sequence,
lines.
or I'm writing a letter.
See, I just want a movie made out of that TED Talk that was a teaser before Prometheus.
Oh, yeah.
Ridley Scott's son directed
That was
that
good.
as well,
Yeah.
didn't he?
That was the best thing of the movie, and it wasn't even in it.
I love
just
that.
Friggin' love that thing.
Marketing, world building. It's so clever when it's done well.
Absolutely.
I think like Prometheus is like marketing was one of the best. It ultimately, did a disservice to the kind of viewers in the end. Like I think it built up hype too much, or you could argue that was it being a success.
Well, yeah, it was marketing a more horror movie when it was a lot more science fiction than horror. But I remember watching the trailers for Prometheus and being really excited that they brought back not only the letter building thing that's in the main title, but the you guys know what I'm talking about with the original theatrical trailer for Alien, that howl sound that they used in
the kind of it was an incredible trailer.
Oh, freaking cat.
I think there's something in the viral website or whatever which also connects Alien to Blade Runner in the Prometheus marketing. It's not canon, but they did it. And I mean, I guess it kind of makes sense that his marketing would be, good and kind of next level, because I mean, he's pretty much, the Orson Welles of TV commercials, right? I mean, I think he's still probably holds the record for directing the most commercials in history, and he's also directed what's probably considered to be the best commercial in history, the Apple 1984.
I was going to say, was that Ridley Scott? I kind of remember that being him. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Which, when they were going through all of the different directing issues with the Steve Jobs movie, I was like, just get Ridley Scott. How come no one's thought of this? Come on.
I love this scene where they're getting the bottles, because just the manic frenzy of they don't want to look up. It's like, I have to do my task, I have to look at it, but I'm worried the monster's going to be right over my shoulder. So it's like you want to look away, but you also have to get this done or you're going to die. And that's a special kind of terror.
Right.
Yeah. Those
It always
anamorphic
makes me think when
lens
they're off to
flares.
self-destruct the Nostromo. It always makes me actually think nowadays of, I don't know if any of you have seen it, like the Red Letter Media review of Star Trek Insurrection. Like, why does everything in Star Trek have a self-destruct? Why does this space shuttle have a self-destruct? Why does this collector have a space shuttle? And you think this has I can understand why this would have kind of some sort of self-destruct thing, but it's very that's such a trope in sci-fi that everything has this self-destruct, and it really kind of has bugged me in kind of modern sci-fi.
At least in this one, it the steps to do it make sense. It's very difficult.
That's my favorite thing about the auto destruct in this film, is that it involves pulling up levers and pushing 1,000 buttons,
screwing things in, and she reads the instructions. I mean, we're a little ahead.
Really great
we'll
theater
get there.
business. It's really great motivated action. It's not just typing in a code. It's not just a voice print. I always thoroughly appreciate that, because there is no mistake. You cannot do this by mistake. There is no accident.
It's so cumbersome. I mean, we're getting ahead of ourselves, but the fact that it takes so much to do is great tension builder when she goes back and tries to turn it off, and it's taking so long and she misses the mark. And
That really hits home hard for me, because it always reminds me of what it's like if there's a problem with a projector like a digital projector, and you're waiting for this thing to reboot, and there's nothing that you can do except wait while it goes through this whole process of rebooting, just because there was some sort of weird glitch.
It's coming back.
Yeah.
If they ever make like a remake of the Alien movie, they should just have like the IMAX theatrical like countdown and stuff for like.
Bite your tongue with that.
Heresy.
It'll happen one day. We may not live to see it.
I don't
I hope
want
I
to
don't
live
live to see it.
Why not? What's the worst that can happen? It sucks. It could be great. They remade The Thing. That worked out okay.
Tristan, is there a way we can kick Mike off the nerd?
I'm just saying, what's the harm?
Sorry, I was meant to send that through DM.
I don't know. The older I get, the more I agree with Schindler. I wouldn't want it to happen, but it's not going to erase this copy.
True. I mean, no one's saying, like, you got to go see this new Alien remake. You could just pretend that it doesn't exist.
I'll make the campaign against Ghostbusters look really kind of reassured and reasoned.
So this is another face of Lambert going, game over! But she's like, totally, like, she's, validated.
But the thing is, I don't blame her in this scene because, like, Parker's telling her to run, but there's nowhere to run.
Yeah.
I know. I said she was validated.
Okay,
I'd be screaming my head off too. No, I would have passed out and just said, "Okay, I'm going to meet Jesus now." If this happened,
I'd have been in the shuttle going, "When are these guys coming?"
Well, I like how she can hear them over the intercom. That's really scary.
We get the tail attack.
And that's when the xenomorph starts to do Tai Chi.
And again, a lot we don't see. Even though we just saw the alien a ton, a lot of this scene we don't see, we just hear. It's just way scarier.
I love hearing Lambert. You don't see her die, you just hear her scream over the intercom.
On that Laserdisc set, they had a lot of like B-roll and stuff of like unedited takes and everything, and there was a lot of extra stuff that was shot for this scene where Lambert dies, where you see the full alien, and they're just like, yeah, we didn't use this because it doesn't look, it looks like a guy in a suit.
Scarier this way.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that one full body where he's kind of moving very slowly, which is kind of spooky, but that's it. Everything else is tight shots.
Yeah, and it's just like how they cut the Queen in Aliens. Like, if you watch that extra footage, you watch the extended cuts, like the unedited cut, she does not look real. It looks like a puppet. It looks like what it is, but with great cutting, just like with Jaws, you can it sells it.
Okay, here we go. We're finally at the self-destruct.
I love that her hair is up for some reason. I love that in action movies and in horror movies, like when the person with long hair just immediately puts it up in a bun. It's just like, oh, let's get down to business, guys.
Well, I mean, I just like how, I guess in universe, she thought it was too cumbersome, so next film she just decides to cut it.
Where is she? Is she in the refinery part, or is she in the bridge of the Nostromo?
It's definitely not the bridge. We've seen what the bridge looks like. That's not the bridge. I think this is like, if the Nostromo has an engineering section, I think that this is where it is.
I want to know who came up with this process. Like, I want to know who designed it, who engineered it, and
Because
said,
it's
like,
basically
yeah, let's do this.
pulling out the cooling rods is what it's telling the system to do, to stop cooling the reactors.
Yeah. So Tristan, since I know you have the Nostromo edition of Alien Isolation, right?
Yep.
I've seen the playthrough videos of the Nostromo level. You actually have to turn on this self-destruct sequence in that part, right?
That would be fun.
I haven't gotten that far. That's awesome.
Oh.
Oh, I just never noticed. There's 4 handles in the back to pull down.
Yeah, there are 4.
But I only ever see your pull 2.
There are 4 handles!
And if I'm correct, the countdown is exactly matched up with the film running time.
Yes, except for the on-screen countdown, I don't think lines up sometimes. Sometimes there's extra numbers in the display, but I think you're right. Like 10 minutes of film will pass. It's just so much tension.
I think it's like me when I've edited a podcast. It's all just out of sync, and the heart's there, the ambition's there to make it match up.
Oh, Lee.
Speaking of the cinematography and the lighting, this film makes me like something that I normally don't like. I'm not even like epileptic, but I really hate strobe lighting in films except for this one.
It's like, don't walk backwards, Ripley. That's a common mistake. You never go backward.
I would just be zigzagging around. That's what I'd be doing. No one ever gets caught zigzagging.
You just see like Lee in this situation. He just says serpentine over and over again. You see, yeah, all of us are just watching the movie now.
And I like how the cutting gets more and more frantic as it gets on as well. Like everything's not as necessarily clear in the shots. I love it.
Apparently, she had an allergic reaction to the glycerin that would make her look all hot and sweaty.
She had an allergic. I think she had an allergic reaction to the glycerin plus the cat hair.
That's why they put it in a box.
Yeah.
I thought it was just the glycerin because she was scared that it was a cat, and then she was scared that she wasn't going to be able to work with it.
I think it was the combination of both.
This kind of makes me think of her as Tawny Madison. Like, you see the one corridor, and she's like, well, forget that.
This movie was badly written.
I love how frantic this is.
Oh, man. You want her to succeed, but it's moving so dang slow.
I'm seeing Schindler just sweat with flashbacks to the projector.
It's terrible.
This is the equivalent of you're ready to do something and your computer all of a sudden says, installing Windows 10.
Auto updates enabled. Yeah. Doesn't she call Mother a bitch or something?
Yeah,
like
you
that?
bitch.
Yeah.
I love that.
And she like hits it with a cattle prod or something like that, right?
Yes.
I guess,
Which is
as we will
funny
see
because right now
momentarily.
she's telling Mother to turn it back on, yet we've never seen any other audio interface in this entire ship. Everything's been buttons.
You bitch.
Well, no, we have seen the right in when Dallas is in his little light room thing. He's talking to Mother, right?
But it's always typing.
I thought he
Maybe.
actually talks to her.
He says hello, Mother, but I thought that was just like him talking to himself as if the computer could hear him.
Okay, all right.
I mean, I could be wrong, but I don't recall seeing very many audio interface moments. See, I'm just thinking about how far back the camera must have been to be able to do that rack focus from her hand to her face.
Probably really freaking far. But it was anamorphic, so it yeah.
Gosh, I'm such nerds.
That's why we're here, man.
You know, we should have
Putting
a party.
the nerd in nerd party.
Nice. Yeah, this is always something that I wanted to like them to turn into a ride, kind of like, you know, Star Trek Experience, where it's Alien Experience, where you have a flamethrower. I know people would die, but it would be worth it. Where you have a flamethrower and you have to go through the corridors and avoid the alien.
Oh man. Or you could do this as like a haunted maze.
Yeah,
That's what they should do in season 2 of Westworld. I'd go to that place. That'd be
Future
awesome.
world.
Yeah.
Because don't they do it like the kind of Universal, like kind of Halloween, do like kind of smaller, more improvised
Halloween Horror Nights, yeah.
That's the one. Yeah, like I'm sure they could do an alien one.
Gosh, I love the klaxons and the sounds you get in the background. Like it's so iconic with this movie.
And it's good to see in like a sci-fi movie, like we're all used to that trope of like kind of steam just venting into ships. Like someone shoots it and like, whoa, what's that steam? Like it never affects anyone. With this, like it's actually creating, you know, it's helping to destroy
and
the
it's
ship.
the coolant system shutting down.
Yeah,
it makes
the
sense.
the ship is overheating.
well, he's just talking about the sci-fi trope, and like another one that I really love is like random sparks. like people, like there's construction workers and all that they are doing is creating sparks. That's their entire job.
Well, like when the ship landed and all of a sudden that caused part of the bridge to spark. It's like, why exactly was there like a line connecting the foot to that terminal that overheated? Whatever.
I always feel bad for Jonesy in this scene because she just starts throwing the box around.
You should be grateful. He's one of the few survivors of the Nostromo.
I mean,
true.
you should be grateful that she even bothered to go get him, because I mean,
Of course, all we need is launch procedure, 8 minutes. It's like, oh, dang it. That's not going to work.
Later on, we see her undress, and in those in that tank top and those little white panties. Mike, you did a commentary on an American Dad episode not too long ago, and there's a great American Dad spoof of Alien, and he runs around in nothing but white panties and a flamethrower, trying to avoid.
I need to see that.
It's so great.
Yeah, Ridley Scott, he had like some sort of explanation for that. Like, I wanted to strip away all of the technology and just have it be, you know, this woman against this alien. It's like, yeah, I'm sure that's exactly why.
That is pure.
That
That is
choice
clearly
was
the
made.
reason. Yeah.
Yeah, it makes total sense.
Well, I mean, if Dallas had survived, no.
Like, I can buy into it because, like, you see, it's almost something that's been kind of like a trope of the movie so far, that we see them at the beginning, they're kind of in their pants and their vests as part of the process of kind of going to hypersleep. So I always find it, oh, that's a bit kind of funny. But, like, when I watch it, it makes context within the movie. It's there is a rule to when it's used, and it's not just like,
gratuitous.
okay, now she's going to, like, strip off to get into the hypersleep. We've established early on that's kind of the trope of hypersleeping, and it's carried on through the movie.
Oh no, the alien attacked while I was in the shower. What will we do?
Yeah, it wasn't one of those. Like, Lee, you make a really solid point. This isn't exactly the Carol Marcus scene in Star Trek Into Darkness. This is like, this has reasoning behind it.
Although technically that one guy died, you know, there was water falling on him. But
That's the gratuitous shower scene.
you know, you don't have giant chains in your shower and aliens.
Hey, that's none of your business.
Oh, so the movie's over, guys. We won. We got it. We blew it up.
That's it. That's over.
Now, genuine question for you. Like, I asked about the Dallas thing earlier, but it's hard to strip away the knowledge of that Sigourney Weaver's a star. When you first watched this movie, did you think the movie was over at this point?
Yeah.
No, because
I think it was more relief that it was over. Like, I was like, oh my god, thank god she's escaped. It's over. It's over. There's no chance that anything else bad's going to happen. I think I was kind of more reassuring myself.
Yeah, it's hard to remember the first time I saw it, but it definitely takes you all the way back down to like that level of calm, and only to spike at it again.
I did not think it was over because I had a Starlog magazine which had a picture of her in her underwear in it, so I knew that
That's
was still
cheating.
coming. Yeah, well.
But I mean, so I would have loved to. You know, Darren was talking about earlier how when he watched this with his brother, he enhanced the jump scares. So how good was the enhancement when that hand comes out here at the end?
Well, it was more like we would do it when it wasn't actually scary. So like
Gotcha.
the music was building it up, but we knew nothing was going to happen. And then like we'd look at each other and then we'd both go like, bah! And he would jump like a foot out of his chair, and it was really funny.
I didn't realize you were so annoying, Darren. This is a bit of a revelation.
Yeah, I was going to say, if you did that to me, I'd probably punch you in the face.
He does it to random strangers in the
When
theater.
it's your best friend's little brother, you know, you got it.
I will say though, as far as like the jump scares in this film, this is my favorite. Is the hand.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Because it's right there in front of you, and you could still not see it.
Yeah, I love that in movies when something was there the entire time and you just didn't notice it. It makes me think of The Shining.
And it's just so fatiguing. Like, at this point, like, we've been through so much, and we're so relieved that she's alive, she's safe, she's out of danger. And I sometimes get that with horror movies, and like, it's not like a issue with the film, but it's like, oh, thank God, like they're free. Like, oh no, do we have to go through this again? You almost feel bad for the character. Yeah.
So does this count as the 4 minutes, or probably, right?
It probably does. Yeah.
This is probably the most it's on
There's
screen.
probably a
at this
third
point,
of
right?
its 4 minutes is right here in this scene.
Yeah, right here. Here we go.
I also love
So
the hand, how it's not 5 fingers, it's 6, and it's like mirrored.
Yeah.
It's alien.
So, okay, I never really quite understood this. Like, what's his deal? Like, what is he waking up? Is he sleepy? Like, what's going on?
No. The thing is like the alien. As far as I know about the species, they're designed to survive. So by any means possible. So it's just gonna hole up here and wait.
That doesn't make sense. Like she was just there. So, like, why didn't he? Why wasn't he aware that she was there?
Like, I always think it's a bit of a plot hole for me, that I think there can be reasons and excuses for why it's like doing what it's doing. But like, it's always bugged me. I would have expected it to kind of be in attack mode as soon as it got into the ship.
That's not in its best interest, though.
And it was betting on her getting to the ship to eject in time.
All I know is that the way that the alien species has been characterized is the ultimate survivor. So it does whatever it's supposed to do to ensure that it survives in the best way possible.
That's not addressing my question, though. Like, I'm not questioning why he's in the pod. I'm questioning why at that moment. Why didn't he just come out?
No, except I think I'm addressing your question that it's not in his best interest to come out.
You're a good lawyer for Matt. You're earning your spurs.
Yeah, I don't know if the alien is like, I need to wait until she finalizes the stasis procedure, whatever it is. I mean, that's, to me, it seems like it's more of an animal. I mean, I know it learns how to use elevator buttons or whatever in the next movie, but I don't know. I mean, my thinking is like it left, she left, and he's like, okay, I'm going to go take a nap.
Well, it doesn't go into cryosleep, so obviously it has the ability to survive extended periods in space. So, yeah, maybe it was starting to go into some sort of hibernation mode.
Mm-hmm.
For me, I still don't buy into it. For me, it only does that because it says it in the script. That I think based
Aliens
on
can't
what was
read.
going
They
on,
don't even have eyes.
what was going on in this, like at the time that we've got this alien hunting down the crew, I see no reason for a change in behavior of what happened, where it's attacking people in the ship, it's hunting down Ripley, to then get in the ship, like power nap or whatever, and just kind of let things unfold. I would expect it to get in and just start creating
it was
havoc.
pounding to Red Bull earlier, and now it's crashing. It's gotta recharge for the next encounter.
I think I'm gonna blend Lee and Darren. I think that's what I'm going to do, is that like it like clearly the reason why is because the script needs it to add suspense, and then but Darren's just like it started to go into hypersleep, its own hibernation mode, and so there you go. There's my headcanon.
It was on an acid trip. That makes sense.
Doug,
I see what you did there.
Oh God. Speaking
Welcome
of
to the nerd party, Mike.
Speaking of the script, we haven't mentioned Dan O'Bannon, but we probably should, because he wrote a hell of a script.
Yeah. And makes his living now on just appearing in alien documentaries while having a cigarette.
I don't think he's really making a living
dead.
anymore. Yeah. R.I.P. Dan O'Bannon.
Josh, too soon, guys.
Yeah, geez, Lee.
But he also wrote Dark Star.
Dark
Yeah.
John Carpenter's first movie. So.
Total Recall, right?
And Total
Yeah,
Recall,
I'm pretty sure they had a hand in Total Recall, and
Aliens.
No, he didn't have a hand in Aliens. It's characters created by. That's about it.
Yeah, he's just like I think he's maybe got a glorified producer role because James Cameron.
James Cameron wrote Aliens. Yeah,
I think Geiler and Hill are credited with the story, if I'm not mistaken.
but not O'Bannon. Not O'Bannon.
Okay, well, I'm confusing Hill and O'Bannon then.
I love how she turns around and we're wondering like, well, what's she waiting for? But you see the reflection in her visor of like the lights lighting up, telling her it's time that she can cycle the airlock.
I love the extra texture on her helmet. There's no reason for it to be there, but it just looks awesome.
I like how she sings to reassure herself.
I like how she's hyperventilating though, as she's trying to sing.
Apparently, like Sigourney Weaver just did that like in rehearsals, and so Ridley Scott's just like, "Oh yeah, keep that." And then, but the producers were pissed because they had to pay for the rights of the song.
Oh, singing the Lucky Star.
Yeah.
Which
Should not have sung something that's not got like any kind of payout, like happy birthday.
Well, now.
that has a
Now,
payout, right?
now it is, yeah.
Oh, does it? Oh, geez.
It is
Yeah.
now in the
Oh,
public
yeah.
domain, but for the longest time. That's why Worf sings Jolly Good Fellow.
hmm Like, even like at my job, we did a happy birthday video, and I had to tell people, like, yeah, we can't have people sing happy birthday. So I wonder if it's really dead yet.
Yeah, I'd assume so.
Are you sure these things always come
Such a
back?
great shot. I love her, like, just the
Yes.
notch in the visor just lines up with her eye so well.
Yeah, this side shot is fantastic.
That's the thing is I don't necessarily buy that it's dead. I buy that it's gone. But
It's in space,
Yeah, I
so
can
it's
see
probably
that.
not going to run into anything.
So apparently this final scene, like her final little speech, is what clinched it with the producers and with Scott to give her the part, was her performance of this.
Because this was one of her most early roles. She was kind of more known as a theatre actor, really, by this stage.
she was really nobody before this movie. I mean, the only thing that to her name, I think, was like she had a cameo at the end of Annie Hall.
And she's never to be seen from again.
Yeah.
I always watch this, and she says I should reach the frontier in about 6 weeks, and I'm like, try 57 years.
57 years.
Yeah. Boy, was she wrong.
This end credits music, I don't know, I always feel compelled to watch the end credits of this movie because I feel like I need this breather. Like I need to like come down after what, we just went through, and the music here is absolutely perfect for that. Yeah. This to me is like the definition of an art film. I don't know if that's weird or not, but
No, I'd agree with you.
yeah.
All right, everyone. That's our commentary. Thank you so much for listening. And thank you, everyone, so much for coming on board. That was a lot of fun, and it's just in time for Halloween. Now, Darren, where can we find you online?
People can find me on Twitter under username Dr. Sci-Fi, DRSCIFI, or my website, drsci-fi.com, where I blog about being a stormtrooper taking over Southern California.
Schindler!
You can find me on Trek FM doing Stage 9 with the Nerd Party's John Mills, where we talk about the people who make Star Trek. And you can also find me on Twitter at Mumbles3K.
Lee, how about you?
Yeah, you can find me on the Nerd Party every other week on the Filibuster with my good friend and my sexy buddy, Matt Hansen, where we've also done a podcast on aliens, so if you want to have a double podcast bill, check that one out. And you can find me on Twitter at, and this is perfect for once, at Lee_drumroll Nostromo. See, I'm on brand point.
Hansen, how about you?
Well, you can find me every other week podcasting here on the Filibuster with that sexy Scottish stud, Lee Nostromo. And you can find me on Twitter at mhansen0207, HANSEN.
Well, you can find me on Twitter at The Insane Robin, and you can find me elsewhere on the network on a show called Nerd Nuptial, which is a show that I host with my wife. And please check out our other show at thenerdparty.com called Aggressive Negotiations, which is one of the best Star Wars podcasts out there. And please, one thing that you can do is, I'm not going to go into the whole spiel, but if you want a good geek subscription service and get a good geek box delivered to you, go to lootcrate.com/nerdparty, enter in code nerdparty at checkout. You'll get $40 worth of merchandise for less than $20, and you'll save even more money off of that. And one other thing you should do is you should go to nerdsandbeyond.com for your great nerd news. We are partners with them, and we thank you so much for all that you do. Please go to facebook.com/thenerdparty, give us a like, and you can check out all of our shows there and just us interacting with each other. You can also go to our Twitter at Join Nerd Party.
Thank you guys so much for joining us for our alien commentary, and until next time, this is the Filibuster, last survivors of the Nerd Party alien commentary, signing off.
Join the revolution. Join the Nerd Party.